Well, it's time for another Notes Real Talk, and this time I'm looking at the closure of the HMV franchise here in Canada. Growing up, I loved going into different music stores, and there were really only two when I was growing up. I grew up in a city just outside of Toronto called Barrie. The two main music stores that were up there was Sam the Record Man and Music World. So I remember going into a lot of these, and especially Music World, and just picking out a whole bunch of different cassette tapes because CDs were just up and coming at that point. With that, I did see that there were, the rise and fall of those two franchises. I believe Sam's was the first to kind of go under, and Music World soon fell with them, but the one that took its place was HMV, and I still remember the first time that an HMV came to Barrie, and it was in the Georgian Mall, and it was such a strange atmosphere because both Music World and Sam's had this kind of rustic, grungy, underground feel, whereas HMV was much more polished, much more almost like a machine churning out the music. The big memory that I had was actually going down here to Toronto to the big HMV that was on Yonge and Dundas, and this guy took up like 4 stories. It was just like if you wanted something, you could get it there, and this was even before the internet, so if you wanted something rare or something that you couldn't find anywhere else, you would go here. And I still actually remember my first time going there, and I picked up, it was a really rare, or at least rare in my idea, it was Polka Party from Weird Al that I'd never seen before. I picked up like a Digimon poster and the Digimon soundtrack, and it was just, the experience was something out of this world because growing up in Barrie, you only really had what was most popular at the time, so being able to go there and pick up these albums that I wouldn't be able to find anywhere else was something that kind of grew to enjoy and grew to love. Like my dad and I would go down maybe once or twice a year and walk out with hundreds of dollars worth of CDs. And another thing that I remember, back in my undergrad, actually, when I was living up in Sudbury, Ontario, there was an HMV in one of the bigger malls there, and I remember I was crushing pretty hard on one of the employees there, and she convinced me to get a points card. This was the HMV points reward system that they had going on, so I decided, do what I can to kind of get in her good books, good graces. And so I got the points card, and since then I'd been collecting points and never cashing them in. I've always just been collecting and collecting and collecting. So when I heard last week that the store was closing down, I decided, okay, now's the time to cash in and find out how many points I'd collected. And I think I collected somewhere around like 677,000 points, which allowed me for like $150 worth of savings. So I went there last week and I picked up, as you can see, Kid A, as well as Taylor Swift's first album. I picked up the Retinal Circus, which you can see, right there, the Retinal Circus, as well as I picked up the Hamilton soundtrack, and the Hamilton soundtrack on vinyl, which took up the bulk of the points there. With the decline of HMV, I want to give a little bit of a story of just kind of why this happened. And this is more of an anecdotal evidence. It's not like the big, be all and end all, but it at least shines a bit of light as to why I believe the company didn't quite go through, and it was perfectly explained a couple of Fridays ago when I went there. I was going to pick up 2 movies because I wanted to have a movie night, and those 2 movies were Sing Street, which I still haven't seen, and Interstellar, one that I saw in the theaters but I wanted to see again. And so I went there to pick them up, and they didn't have either of them. So I decided, okay, well, if you don't have them, I can't spend my money here. So I went home and I actually streamed Interstellar on Netflix instead, for free. So I think that's why HMV kind of didn't work out. And we can see this a lot with other avenues. I saw that Sunrise Records, the other one, is not doing so well. And within this vacuum, this Goliath of a vacuum that Sam's, Sunrise, and HMV are leaving, the more independent record stores. Here in Toronto, we've got Sonic Boom, we've got Rotate This, we've got She Said Boom, we've got June Records. We see all these independently owned record stores. I have a feeling they are going to pick up the slack, because if I couldn't find something at HMV, I would go to Rotate This or Sonic Boom. And I think that's really what we're going to see. We're going to see it steadily incline towards these record stores, because records and vinyls are coming back. I mean, it's no surprise now. And so I think that's essentially what we're going to see. Amazon has already fitted the bill for I guess, everything else, but that physical, going to a record store and just geeking out there, that's where I think the new trend is going to go. So that's all I've got to say. It's a little bit of a farewell video to HMV and all that it has done for me over the years, because yeah, I've got great stories from HMV. Like the time when I picked up a CD binder sleeve, and I found, kind of snuck in there, 2 DVDs of the X-Men animated TV series. Just little things like that, little things that I can think back fondly of, and just all the times that I've spent at HMV and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's all I've got to say about that. Let me know of a memory that you had from a, I guess, record store that has gone under within your city, or just some fun little anecdote of something that's happened to you at a record store. Let me know of those down below. And thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.